madam, to welcome Dr. Dange sir. I also request Deputy Madam to welcome Dr. Maikonda sir, the chairperson of the session. We are very much eager to listen to Honorable Dr. Dange sir's critical analysis on new dimensions of higher education and teacher education in the present scenario. Through his keynote address, I request sir to address the August Hall.
Savior of mankind, Bhagwan Mahavira, and my dear esteemed teacher educators of this state, as well as from different states. And before starting my presentation, I would like to thank the principal of this college and the coordinating members and the organizing team members for giving me this opportunity to stand amidst you and share my views on a very relevant and need-based apt theme they have chosen for this national conference, that is New Dimensions of Higher Education and 21st Century Teacher Education. Friends, before sharing my views on the new dimensions, as we all know that education is a dynamic process which changes from time to time, situation to situation, generation to generation, and century to century. And it is also very important to know that it's very difficult to bring all those dimensions in one umbrella, and that too in a single hour. But I tried my level best to bring all those elements which I felt very apt and important to put before you, and to share those important elements with you so that we can have introspection ourselves and we can come out with some of the important areas where we have to modify, we have to think on them, and we have to plan for our future generation as well. So I start my presentation with the objectives of higher education. Normally we talk about, or we consider higher education most of the time for the employability. When a student comes to the higher education or joins a higher education, normally he or she asks, shall I get employable opportunity in future or after completion of my PG? That's the first question, and that is the basic objective of higher education. And we also consider it as the primary objective of higher education. In continuation with that, enhancing the earning potential is also one of the primary objectives of higher education. In continuation, seeking and advancing knowledge and wisdom, and research and experimentation are the primary objectives of higher education. And that's what we are training, and that's what we all know. We are all entered into this higher education maybe because of that. But in real sense, we have secondary objectives also regarding higher education. They are attaining mental and spiritual growth, engaging in quest for the unknown things, facilitating better lifestyle, and developing scientific outlook. These are the secondary objectives which are also we have to look into for the next generation. In continuation with that, if you see, or if you just look into the growth of higher education, and in relation to that, already the chief guest who has given a brief idea about the development regarding higher education in India. And as he has rightly pointed out that we had just 20 universities when we got the independence and 695 colleges. But today there is a tremendous growth in terms of numbers. We have today more than 785 universities and more than 38,000 colleges. If we consider ourselves, because we are all related to the teacher education, we have 4% of colleges among those 38,000. And we also know that India is one of the major wealth in the youth, and which has also rightly pointed out by the chief guest. It's a vision of our late President Abdul Kalam ji, who used to say that in 2020 India would be a supernatural power in the world because of that, because we have a youth wealth. The age group is between 18 to 40 and which has almost 80 crore. It's a very big number in the world. That's the main reason Abdul Kalam ji has pointed out that we would be in a superpower status in the year 2020. And if you see the gender balance also, it's not too varied. And the male ratio is up to 65% and female ratio is 61%. Very near. They are not too significantly different. And we also know that Indian higher education system is one of the largest system in the world. India stands second, whereas US is the first largest country which is offering higher education to its stakeholders. So this is the basic thing we have to understand. As I told, when the time changes, we need to concentrate on the advantages, we need to concentrate on the needs, we need to concentrate on the opportunities also. And as I rightly mentioned, education is a dynamic process which changes from time to time, and it is also very essential to know the changes which are happening in the world, which is happening in the country. Unless we know the changes, we cannot frame the dimensions. Changes will provide an opportunity to introspect ourselves and to frame some of the dimensions which really in turn help us in making the policies for higher education. That is the rationality might have come to the organizing committee and the executive body who have rightly pointed out, who have rightly framed this topic for this national event. I am very happy that they are thinking in that aspect, because most of the university departments are not thinking in that aspect, most of the policy makers are not thinking, whereas a college from a district is thinking very innovatively, and number is also not a very important aspect in the ICT era, because whatever we are thinking in this room will definitely reach all the members of the community through our conference proceedings, through the materials which we are recording, through the PowerPoint presentations which we can upload, and anybody in the world can have this content and they can think on that. So I should congratulate them for having this important topic for them. And it's also very important to know the difficulties also which are there in our education system for consideration of the new dimensions, and wherein we have to say that there is a dire need to frame the new dimensions for 21st century, higher education in general and teacher education in particular, because we are all related with the teacher education aspects. And I thought that there are some changes which are happening around us that might help us in framing the new dimensions. Like, we know that growth in the population is very much high in India. And not only in India, actually if you take the population growth rate of the world, it is increasing day by day and year by year. That can be a very big challenge for the higher education stakeholders to frame new dimensions. And the next best example is knowledge expansion. We were talking about the expansion of knowledge. That can be one of the important dimensions. Technology revolution we are experiencing every sphere of our life. Change in the value pattern. It's one of the big challenge for teacher educators for 21st century. And new theories are coming up. New methods are implemented in all dimensions of higher education. That can be one of the aspects. And change in methods of teaching also. Whatever we used to teach earlier, we cannot use the same kind of methods in present classrooms because of so many changes. And even the global competition. And readdressal of inequality in all aspects. And sustainable development is also very important criteria which can be considered for the new dimensions. So these are the basic concepts or the changes which we are experiencing in the present era, which definitely help us for framing new dimensions. And I will start with, I have some of the new dimensions which can be considered for higher education. Like, we have three important criteria. One is branding, openness, and academic quality can be a very good dimension for next generation. Then comes, what is branding? And if you just see the figure or the model, which depicts that they are all interrelated. They are not the separate concepts, they are interrelated. How they can be interrelated? If you just see what branding is all about. We talk about Oxford University, we talk about Stanford University, we talk about IITs in India, IIScs in India. Why? What makes us to talk about those institutions? Because of the brand. Nobody talks about our institutions. Why people talk about IITs means it is the brand which they are carrying, and the whatever vision they have, they implement it regularly without any loopholes, without any lacunas. So whatever promise they give to the stakeholders, means the learners, they perform it, they execute it absolutely in a fine manner. So that is branding. So for the next generation, normally the students will look after the branding first. What brand the colleges or the institutions are possessing. So based on that, they get the admissions. So branding is very important, and for that, it helps us in promotion of the courses which we are running, and also if we have to, whatever promise we give, whatever visions and missions we have, that has to be delivered in a prompt manner. So this is what branding is all about. And next comes openness. We all know that education is sharing. We are all delivering the goods year by year, session by session to the students. Whatever we get from the different sources, we collect it, we understand it, and we pass it to the next generation. So that's what openness is all. If you have the content, don't have it with yourself, try to pass it to the students. And be open in giving, be open in the sharing. So naturally, the open source softwares will help us. Think that I am teaching with the help of a PowerPoint presentation. After my teaching, I have to upload it to the website so that my students, anybody can have it from any corner. Not only the students, any stakeholder or any learner from any corner of the world, they can have it. That is the openness we have to look after today. And the third important criteria is academic quality. We talk a lot about quality, which has got plenty of dimensions. It's very difficult to assess the quality. But academic quality is not related to the resources which we give. It is very much related to the outcomes, which is very much related to outcomes in terms of performance of the students, in terms of learning outcomes, results, competencies, operational outcomes, knowledge, student learning, skills and abilities. So quality always will be assessed based on the outcome, but not based on the process, or not based on the elements which we include in the qualitative process. So here, three important criteria will help us to compete with the other institution, one thing, and to give whatever vision and mission we have in a very prompt manner. So that's why quality, academic quality, and branding and openness, they are all interrelated. They are related to each other. So hence, it's very important to consider this dimension for the next generation. And the second important dimension is access, cost and quality. We call it as iron triangle. The reason why is, here also you find a relationship between all those elements, but when you concentrate on accessibility, it leads to the deterioration of quality. Accessibility means the quantity, as I can say. India has increased its number in higher education institutions, but simultaneously it has to concentrate on building the qualitative aspects also, but which is lacking. We all know that no Indian universities are there in the top 200 ranking universities. There may be some reasons, but still we are not competent enough to go to that extent so that we can claim we are also top in the world. And hence the reason why is quality. We are lacking in the quality, but government is giving more stress on quantitative aspects. It wants to increase its DER up to 30% because it wants to say that we are also competent in the global level. But in real sense, when you take the qualitative aspect, really we are not so competent enough to go and claim that we are having the top-notch institutions in the world. So hence, accessibility should be increased by increasing the quality as well as the cost should be decreased. Cost should not increase. They should be inversely proportional. Two elements should increase by reducing the cost. And what happening now? Students are paying more and more for higher education. So that should not be there. So this can also be an important dimension for the 21st century higher education system, especially in India and even in world as well. And the third important criteria which I have considered is education for sustainable development. Even NCT has also thought of this, and it made it mandatory to have these sustainable skills in the teacher education system. It has rightly pointed out and which has imbibed, it suggested to include these sustainable development skills among the student teachers. I will tell you, we all know that education is an essential tool for sustainable development, which means whatever we have, we should sustain it for the next generation. That's very important thing. We have land now, we have good environment now, we have water resource now. Whatever we have, we should retain it for the next generation. That kind of attitude and skills should be developed among the students at the higher education level, so that we should, by enjoying the facilities or the resources we have now, not only by enjoying, after our enjoyment or after our usage, we should retain, we should present those resources for next generation also, by having some of the strategies which can be included in our curriculum, like socio-cultural perspectives we have to include, like human rights, which is there in our NCT syllabus, which has rightly highlighted, peace and human security, gender equality, cultural diversity, intercultural understanding, health and governance. So this comes under socio-cultural perspective, and the second important perspective in sustainable development is environmental perspectives. We know that there is a lot of urbanization in India, which in turn giving some threats. Already Chennai has received a lot of threat from that actually. The whole nation was ready to help them, and in fact we helped also to a greater extent. So, and scientists say that such kind of incidents will happen again and again in future. So hence, it's very essential to retain our resources for the next generation. And like natural resources, water, energy, agriculture, biodiversity, climate change, rural development, sustainable urbanization, and disaster prevention. They are a part of curriculum now. Earlier, they were the special streams at the PG level. Now, they are the part of our curriculum. Any student who wants to learn the higher education, who wants to seek the higher education, they should know about these aspects. And the third important is economic perspective is also important, like poverty reduction, how we have to think of that, and accountability and market economy. So these elements will definitely help us to have a new dimension for the 21st century. And as I mentioned, we have some other dimensions also, like growth in the population. There is a plenty of a tremendous growth in the population, and we have to think of that also. According to the ratio of population growth, we have to start the institutions, we have to give the education, because traditional way of education is more in India. We are concentrating more on the classroom activities, whereas open or distance education mode and open modes are very helpful to reach that kind of a population, which is a need of the hour. Hence, the government has to plan for that. And information explosion. We know that every day there is a new addition to the knowledge. If somebody is saying that I know everything, he is a mad today. Because nobody can claim that I know everything. Because he doesn't know what has been added today. To that extent of knowledge is exploding day by day. Hence, we should know all those aspects, and it has become one of the important criteria for considering the new dimension. And technology revolution, as we know that more devices are coming up. In fact, devices were used for communication earlier. The same devices are now using in the classrooms. So computer was not meant to education actually. It was not meant for teaching learning, but it has become a heart of teaching learning now. Mobile was not prepared for teaching learning process. It was prepared for communicating, but today it's a part of our teaching learning process. So new devices are coming up and new strategies we are using now. SMS is a good strategy for teaching now. SMS can be a good strategy for guiding now. SMS can be a good strategy for communicating now. Not only in the classroom, outside the classroom. You can guide them, you can communicate them, you can counsel them with the help of SMSs, with the help of calls, with the help of groups. So new strategies, methods and techniques are coming up. So each and every teacher has to be updated with those techniques, methods and strategies. It's a new trend. And next, change in the value pattern. We know how we were in front of our teachers, but the same way we cannot expect the value pattern from our students because of the changes. Earlier, students used to go to the teacher to ask something, to gain the knowledge, but now it is reverse. And hence we are saying that now higher education is student-centered. Earlier it was teacher-centered. Teacher was the main boss. If he wants to give the information, he used to. Otherwise, no. But now, student is the center of that learning process, and around the student, we have some options, we have resources, we have teachers to help him or help her. So that is the trend now, and we cannot expect every time the obediency, the value pattern from the students, because ethics is very important for teachers now, and he has to think in that dimension. The reason why I am telling is, today's teachers no need to expect any invitation from students for the teaching process. We have to go to the students and make them to learn the things. That is the pattern we have changed. And the whole world is doing it that fashion. The reason why is, learner is the central point of process. That's the main thing. And new theories and methods, as I told, lots of experiments are going on around the world, and lots of explosion of knowledge will lead to the new theories. Earlier we were having only behavioristic approach, we had behaviorism, cognitivism, and now social constructivism is very rampant. Whatever we do, whatever activity we perform in the classroom, that should have two important theories. One is social and other is constructivism. And ICT is helping us to imbibe that theory in the teaching learning process, which is helping us to work in a collaborative manner. Not only that, it also gives opportunity to construct learners' own experiences. So hence, social constructivism is a new learning theory which we are experiencing, and we have to concentrate on such new theories and methods as well. And global competition. And recently, our Honorable Prime Minister has said that prepare the teachers for global, not for only regional. But what we are doing in India, we are concentrating only on our regions. If a student is getting admission in Maharashtra, he will be trained to get the job in Maharashtra only. If it is Karnataka, Karnataka. But in today's era, we have to prepare our student teachers in such a way that he can go and teach around the globe anywhere. So that is the basic. And even the teachers, for learner concept is okay. And even anybody can have access the education around the globe. Anybody can go to the Stanford University to get the courses, and anybody can come here to have the courses. So that is the trend we have now. And next one is readdressal of inequality. It is not only in India, it is everywhere in the world. One or other form we find, there is a religion inequality we find in most of the countries. They are fighting like anything. We can sense that fire. And caste-based inequality is still there, creed-based inequality is there, race-based inequality is there, and even we have special children group in our classroom. So that inequality is also not equated by the teachers or the policies in our country still. So this can be a very good element for the next generation. And at the last, language inequalities. We always prefer English, we always prefer our regional language. So a lot of discussions and disparities are there between the different languages. Both the languages are very essential. But we fight for only one language, it's wrong. So such inequalities have to be addressed. So that would be the important element for new dimensions for the 21st century, and especially higher education in general and teacher education in particular. And next, I will shift the content or our presentation to the teacher education, because we are all related to that. Higher education is a broad dimension, we have to concentrate. But let's see some of the important dimensions we have in teacher education also. What kind of lacunas we have, what kind of loopholes we have. If you understand well, we can plan perfectly for the future generation. And as we know that NCT is doing a lot of efforts, putting a lot of efforts to strengthen the teacher education in this country, but still, I can say it has not reached its objectives to a perfect manner, because the reasons we all know. And still there is a possibility to strengthen its teacher education program in India, and 21st century needed more things from teachers, and hence we have to concentrate on the teacher education aspects. Like in our inaugural speech has rightly identified that Knowledge Commission has already said that teachers are the single most important element of the education system. It's known fact, exactly. And it also highlighted that India is facing a severe shortage of qualified and motivated teachers. Qualified means don't consider that only B.Ed or M.Ed. Qualified can be considered in terms of mastery of content, in terms of skills, in terms of values and attitudes. That is the mastery we have. And as we know that we have a serious shortage of those teachers, and still we don't have so much of good bunch of motivated teachers also. They are doing it for some different purposes, and that's the suggestion or the point they have highlighted in National Knowledge Commission. And it also says that training of teachers is a major area of concern. It has highlighted that, especially the pre-service teacher education, because they are inadequate and poorly managed. See, a committee is talking about our system. We are poorly managed, they have been saying, and pre-service training needs to be improved. It is rightly saying that. Pre-service is a very important area and which has to be improved, because it will be run by both public and private institutions. And we know that in our country, 85% of institutions are from private sector. There is a big number of private sector institutions, hence it has to be improved. If you come to the NCFT 2009, which has emphasized that ICT in schooling is very important. The emphasis is whatever you do in schooling, ICT should be the base, and e-learning became the center stage of teaching learning process, electronic learning. And that's the reason ICT has become an integral part of today's teaching learning process. Why we are talking about so much ICT means all the commissions which were set up, they studied thoroughly and they are